Hey guys, what's going on, and welcome back to a brand new video. And today we've got a little experiment. We've not done one for a while. The last one done really well, so I decided to do another one, which is going to be with the Premier League as well. And today we're going to be releasing every single player in every single team in the Premier League and seeing how they recover, if they recover, in 5 seasons, and see if any of the teams go down, if they stay down. Like I said, see how they recover. If you guys do enjoy experiment videos, please do leave a like on this video. Be sure to comment any future experiments you want to see. But before we do get into the video as well, please do subscribe to the channel. We're very close to 1.7k subs. It would mean a lot if you did hit the subscribe button. Let's get in to the first season and see how the team's done. So, as I mentioned, the whole point of doing this is to release every single player. So I've gone ahead and done that. I've actually loaded up a database for pretty much no one in the teams. So, I mean, they've still got their under-23s, they've got their under-21 players. Obviously, one thing that you've got to consider, one thing I didn't even really consider, is these players can obviously be signed again very easily because they're all free agents. So, say, for example, that, you know, we could see a situation where literally Liverpool and City swap players for free, which would be very interesting. But I have done 5 seasons, and what we're going to do is we're not going to have time to literally go through every single team and look at the transfers. So we're going to look at how the seasons went, and then we're going to go into the last season and look at the teams that actually are in the Premier League as of 2026. We're going to look at what them clubs have won over the past 5 years and have a little look at every single team. So let's get into it and see how we do. So this is going to be the first season then. So this is the first season we've played. We'll have a little rundown on this. Like I said, we'll have a little look at the teams that got relegated, see where they are now, and then we're just gonna, we're gonna do a more in-depth breakdown right towards the end. But the first season then, so we had Tottenham win the league with 88 points, which is very impressive to be fair. We've got Manchester United in second place, very close with 85. Very unlucky there. Like I said, it's very interesting to see sort of, part of me was wondering whether this would completely change the way that it works. So like possibly we could see, the Watford winning the Prem, depending on what players they got. But I guess obviously because they are free agents, these clubs still have got money, so they can sign them back because they've got the money to pay the wages type of thing. So we've got Man City finishing in 3rd place. We've got Arsenal in 4th. It then drops to Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea outside of the top 6 as well. Any shockers? West Ham nearly get relegated, to be fair, by 3 points, which is a bit of a shocker. We then have Everton, Wolves and Crystal Palace actually going down, which isn't good to see. Now, what we're going to do then quickly is we're going to look at the team that did get relegated and see if they've recovered, because obviously this will be, because I have done all 5 years, when I click on this will be where they are now. So let's just see where they are now. Wow, so they're still in the Championship. Obviously, they could have come back up. That is for us to see. But they are still in the Championship, which must be gutting for them. So have a look at their team then. Okay, yeah, they've definitely got a worse team than what they would have had at the start. A couple of good players in here, and Ryan Sessegnon, I believe that is. No, Steven Sessegnon, not Ryan Sessegnon. Also heard of Diagne here. But, I mean, it's definitely not a strong team, is it? You can see why. Well, this guy, he's not bad, to be fair to him. To be honest with you, I mean, it's not a great team. It is a relegation Premier League team, so I can see why they did get relegated. Obviously, it probably looked a lot different back then. But if that's the team they've got now, which it is, I can see why they're not in the Premier League. Right, who was next on this list then? Wolves. So Roberto Zazarbi is in charge. Tactics then. Again, it's a very, very unfamiliar team with myself personally. I'm not going to claim I know these players if I don't. If you look at the Wolves team they've got now and you look at this team, they've definitely had a bit of a downgrade there. And then Crystal Palace, a team that obviously could get relegated anyway. I believe they're managerless as well, which is a shame for them. We'll go to tactics. Who have they got here then? Yeah, it's a very unfamiliar team again. They've lost a lot of players, haven't got anyone back in type of things over these 5 years. So, I mean, very gutting for them. But, I mean, overall, that does make a lot of sense. I mean, it's a shame. It's quite weird, though, that the 3 teams that got relegated haven't managed to get back to the Prem and stay there in 5 years. Which is not great to see for obviously teams that do get relegated. But let's have a quick peep at Season 2. Season 2 then we had Manchester United. So it was Tottenham, Manchester United winning the second league, 84 points. Tottenham coming in second, nearly doing the back-to-back there. 78 points coming in from Newcastle. They've come up as well. Arsenal, you then got Chelsea and Man City. It's actually Liverpool that miss out on the top 6 spots. So bit of rotation there between Chelsea. Man City drop on quite a bit as well. And then it does leave us with, we've obviously got Norwich just about avoiding the drop. 2 seasons in a row, by the way. I think they did last season, didn't they? Yeah, they were 16th. So they stayed in the Prem 2 seasons running. Nottingham Forest in 13th, and then it's the likes of Bournemouth, Leeds and West Ham. So West Ham unfortunately do find themselves going down. So let's have a look at these 3 relegation teams and see if any of them are back in the Prem now. Bam. Wow. Again, still in the Championship. Let's have a look at their team then. They've got Solanke. They've got Pedence. Obviously, you know, to be fair, some of these teams would have come up because obviously they weren't in the Premier League to start. But I mean, to be honest, their team's not too bad. I mean, there's a few players I'm very familiar with here. Obviously, a lot of these guys you want to look at and know instantly who they are. It's not a horrific team by any means. And to be fair, I'm surprised. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they did get back up to the Prem, and now currently just in 2026, they did fall back down. But that's not a bad team. Leeds United, got Paulo Sousa in charge. Again, a few unfamiliar faces in there. A few people I do know. I think Challo, yeah, he looks reasonably good, to be fair. I've used him in a Football Manager before. But again, a very, very different team. I knew this would be an interesting experiment because obviously each team is going to look so different, especially teams that were in the Prem in the first season because they lost everyone. Right, West Ham United then. Okay, wow. That is a real downgrade of a team. Their team in real life obviously is really good, and this is bad. This is bad big time. I can definitely see why they got relegated, and they're still in the Championship. So I'd put money on they didn't actually manage to get back up. We will see when we go into the next season, but a very, very disappointing team that is for sure on paper. But no, it's going to be Manchester United actually managing to pick up and win the second season. Tottenham, though, hats off to them because they've nearly done a back-to-back within 2 seasons. So the following season, we have Manchester City. So that's 3 different winners now, all in a back-to-back seasons, which is quite refreshing to see. Tottenham again finishing in second. They've nearly won it 3 seasons now. So they're the team that has been consistently at the top, without a doubt. You then got Arsenal, Newcastle, Manchester United, Aston Villa actually stealing the 6th place spot from Liverpool, pushing Chelsea down into 8th, Leicester finishing in 10th. And it is going to be your Watfords that, and I believe it was actually, no, it wasn't, that they've remained, haven't they? Yes, so Watford have actually, they managed to stay there for 2 seasons and unfortunately do get relegated. They've done well to stay for 2 seasons, considering that obviously when a team loses all their players, the big clubs can get them back quite easily because they've got, you know, they've got the money, they can pay the wages. But Watford done well to stay in the division for 2 seasons, considering they've lost absolutely everyone. So let's have a little look then at Watford and see what sort of team they're rocking with. Okay, a few unfamiliar players. Obviously, we know this guy, Solly March. We all know him. I mean, it's not horrific. I can see why it's gone down. It's definitely not going to be one of the best teams. I remember this guy very well as well, the right back. It's not a great team, if we're being honest, so I can see why they've gone down. What about Sunderland? Let's have a little look at Sunderland. So here we go. Oh, not schedule, my bad. Here we go then. So, again, Valerie, good player. Billy Gilmore, good player. Dele Alli, good player. There's some good players in this team. Quite surprised. Is that Jacob Ramsey? On loan from Aston Villa? I had him on loan as well. Very surprised then. I mean, yeah, I'm very surprised they've gone down, to be honest. I mean, they've got a great midfield, decent back line. I'm not entirely sure about these two. I'm not going to claim that I know a lot about them when I don't. But that team overall looks quite good. So very surprised they actually find themselves down. I thought they possibly even 17th. West Brom then. What sort of team are they working with? They have got, okay, very, very, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, with a lot of these players. Is that going to be Ryan Bertrand? You guys remember when Ryan Bertrand was a bit younger and Pep really wanted him? He went up to, I think it was Ryan Bertrand against when we played for Southampton, and he was like annoyed by how like good he was, basically, Pep Guardiola. That's when I thought he was going to go to City. I genuinely did. Again, I'd say it's quite a standard, you know, relegation side. That is a team that you probably would expect to see down there, if we're being honest. No disrespect to these players. But the one team that does shock me, honestly, is going to be Sunderland. I mean, their team, I've done that twice now, their team is really good. Dele Alli, Billy Gilmore. I mean, you've got Valerie. I mean, he's a bit old, but you've got Steve Cook at the back. It's quite a solid back line, midfield, and a decent, you know, it looks like a decent attack. And let's compare it to, like, I know, because that's going to be, I don't want to see what teams they are just yet going into the future. But I'm very surprised that they actually did manage to get relegated. It's a bit of a shame. Going into the second to last, then we have a Liverpool. And this is Tottenham's first season where they've really been out of the title race. It goes Liverpool, Man City, Manchester United, and Newcastle Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea find themselves in 8th place again, which is absolutely gutting. We do have Norwich. Have Norwich stayed up the whole time? Fair play to Norwich. Norwich have stayed up the whole time again. So, I mean, they're doing very well with their team. It is going to be Bournemouth, Brighton and Middlesbrough going back down. So let's have a little look then. We've looked at Bournemouth, I believe, haven't we? Because they've been down once. They did go back up. Brighton haven't been down yet, so we'll look at them, and Middlesbrough. So let's have a little look at Brighton's team then, what they're working with now. They're still in the Championship. Have a little look at their team. Benteke, a player I did not think. No right back selected. Ben White actually back at Brighton, which is quite interesting to see. Decent sized squad. I wouldn't say there's loads and loads of quality in the team, but I mean, it's decent. They have got a right back in John Joe Kenny. He's not a bad right back. Don't get me wrong, it's not the best team you'll see, but it's very weird to see Benteke up there. But I mean, it's interesting that Ben White decided to go back to Brighton out of all the clubs that possibly went in for him. And then Middlesbrough, I've got no idea what we're going to see from Middlesbrough here. Paddy McNair, of course, it's Paddy McNair. Edwards, Bree, Fry, Coulson, Ward. I mean, again, I don't know a lot of these players, I'm going to be honest. But I mean, from what I'm seeing, none of them really strike me as players that are going to get you anything other than sort of towards bottom table. So it's not a big surprise that they have managed to, you know, get relegated. One team, the team I'm going to check next off when we go into this final season is I really want to see Norwich's team, because if they stay up this whole time, I honestly reckon they've put together a bit of a powerhouse, because I thought they were going to go down just like that, but they haven't. But let's have a little look then. They just about stayed up. Let's have a look at this team then. Ten Hag, the manager of Norwich City. Now, I'm going to point out, I didn't expire the manager contracts, so he has genuinely either been sacked from United or left, sorry, and he has gone and taken on the challenge at Norwich City, and it's actually quite a good team, to be honest with you. Got some good Dan James, decent player. You got Mitrovic, bit of a powerhouse. You've got Reece Nelson, very good player as well. You've got a couple of good more defensive midfielders in there. On the bench, Bidstrup there as well. I thought that was the actual Araujo for a minute, but no, okay. I mean, to be honest with you, it's actually Andre Gomez he's out on loan. To be honest with you, it's good, but it's not as good as what I thought. I thought, considering they've stayed in the league, and obviously, like, there's been better teams on paper than this by a long shot that have gone down. I'm very surprised they've gone down. Maybe it is because they have got a manager like Ten Hag. They've got great facilities as well. But I mean, that is very surprising. Ten Hag in charge. Very surprising. But it's going to be Manchester City winning the last league title. We're going to have Manchester United in second place, Arsenal in third, Liverpool in fourth. Chelsea not managing to break back in at all. You've got Newcastle and Tottenham in fifth and sixth. Leicester pushing up a little bit. They've not really been towards the top at all, though. And the teams that do find themselves going down, unfortunately, are going to be Stoke, Preston and Hull. So let's have a little look at Stoke's team then. Stoke City. You have got a region here. You've got Teller. We're obviously familiar with him. Patterson, McKenna, Sutar. We've got Bursic, Offerbor, I think that's how you say that. Again, a few of these players I'm not too familiar with. On paper, a team that I would say you would predict to go down. There's nothing too special about that team. In the likes of Preston, again, David Moyes in charge here. Is it going to be Sam? Yep, Sam Greenwood. Again, a few players I'm familiar with, but a team that you would put money on probably going down. These haven't got the overall quality to stay up. And then Hull City, Darren Moore in charge. Tactics, we're going to have a little look. Dembele I'm aware of, Rothwell I know, Jensen, but again, a team which no real shockers, I'm going to say, without being disrespectful, no real shockers that they did go down. And that is a very interesting sort of 5 seasons. We're not even into the most interesting part yet. This initial sort of 10-15 minutes is going to be purely just looking at, you know, who won the league over the 5 years. Then we're going to go into the last season and see their sort of milestones, see exactly what they've won, see about any sort of management changes, owner changes, and things like that, and have a look at the teams. So it's going to be very detailed, and I'm looking forward to seeing every single current team. But Before we do get into that though, guys, if you are enjoying this experiment so far, please do smash the like button on the video. It helps the channel grow, helps the video get seen, and please do subscribe to the channel as well and turn on notifications. This way you're never going to miss an upload, you'll never miss when I premiere a video or go live. And if that isn't enough, you want to stay in touch even more, please do follow the social medias in the description. But let's go in and see where these teams are, see what teams they've got in 5 years. So it's only right that we start with the champions, so Manchester City then. First off, let's have a quick look. Thomas Tuchel in charge. Tactics, we'll do these reasonably quickly because obviously we've got like 20 teams to do. So we'll do a very brief rundown. But you've got Woodman, Tyler Adams, Varane, Christensen, Pardo, Tuscanov, Adam, Goncalves, Correa, Stevanovic, and Raspadori. Max Aaron's on the bench for Vitz there. Hudson-Odoi, Kuleveski, Tillemans, Luis Diaz. Yes, a very, very good team. Pikey there as well. Lo Celso, Fofana, Kabak, Wijnaldum, Verratti, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Basuma. Endless players, so I can see why. They've done that. I mean, that is absolutely outrageous. And if we have a little look at their landmarks, we can filter this to competitions because that's the main bit we want to see. We've got the Community Shield coming in 2022. We've got the Carabao 2023. We've got the FA Cup. 2024 was a big season. You got the Carabao, the Premier League, the FA Cup, the Community Shield. 2025 season, you got the Carabao Cup, the Champions League, the Premier League, and the FA Cup. So they've had a very, very successful 5 years, haven't they? They've not done too bad for themselves. Moving on then to Manchester United. Inzaghi's actually in charge, and we're looking at a 5-at-the-back tactic. You got Castells, Nianzou, Fabinho, Danilo, Mahali, Joe Gomez, that's 2 Liverpool players now. Nunes, Bentancur, Declan Rice, Maddison up top, and Heung-min Son. Fiata on the bench with Havertz, Fabio Silva, Cuadrado, Ben Chilwell, Jordan Henderson, 3 Liverpool players. Thiago Thomas, Hannibal, Alanga, a few players on the bench here, Dybala, John Stones. So a few Liverpool players decided to sort of, you know, go to the dark side, and well, I mean, that's interesting to see. Competitions then, so not as much coming out of United. Champions League runners-up in 2022, Carabao Cup runners-up in 2023. 2023 again they won the Premier League, and 2023 they won, they were runners-up in the Community Shield. So not the most success over 5 years, being honest. Man City definitely doing a little bit better. Arsenal then, tactics, let's have a little look. Who was in charge of that one, sorry? Alfred Schroeder. I'm going to be honest, I'm not entirely sure who that is. Their team, again, a very interesting team. You've got Martinez, Livramento, Wonderkid, Santiago, Rudiger, Lodi, Patano, Jorginho, obviously a rival there. Lamptey on the right-hand side. Magno, Aronson, and Balogun as striker. You've got De Gea deciding to go there. Aspilicueta, Rafa, Pepe, Flores, Connor Cody, Arizo, Paredes. A lot of weird signings there, to be honest. The team's decent, not as good as the first 2 we've seen. So it does make sense why they didn't manage to win the league. It's definitely not as dominant as the others. And then if we go to the competitions, then runners-up in 2024 in the Carabao, Europa League winners in 2024, Super Cup runners-up in 2024, 2026 they were runners-up in the Carabao Cup, and 2026 Europa League winners. So they managed to win Europa League twice within 5 years, which is an achievement, but a shame they never really pushed on and, you know, sort of clenched any sort of Champions League success. Let's go in then to Liverpool, a very interesting one. You've got Steven Gerrard. Now, I find whenever I do experiments, Steven Gerrard always takes over the Liverpool job, which is quite, I guess it's quite realistic. I think one day we probably will see Gerrard in charge one day. Tactic then, they have got a very, very good team. They've got Perrin, Tomiyasu, Papetti, Collins, Pereira, Ward-Prowse, Yankovic, Rassells, Grealish, Everton, Jesus. On the bench, Harry Maguire. You've got Tielemans, realistic signing there. Neves, realistic signing there. Depay, a very, very, very good team. What have they managed to do then? Oh no, that was a very misclick landmark. So runners-up in the FA Cup in 2024. Conference League winners in 2024 as well. Premier League champions in 2025, and runners-up in the McDonald's FA Community Shield in 2025. So again, not the most success in 5 years, but at least they have had some. They have managed to win the Premier League, which is a massive accomplishment, you know, whatever team they are at the end of the day. Moving on to Newcastle, a team obviously that have come into a lot of money. Eddie Howe is going to be the man controlling the bus, steering the ship. What a team this look. Wow. Okay. You've got Strogoshka in goal, Reece James, Zabrani, Daly Blind, Tagliafico, Mareba, Fabian, Chishkangov, Rashford, Calvert-Lewin, Van der Beek, Iheanacho, Keita, Ziyech, and Nketiah, Conor Gallagher. That team is honestly ridiculous. I mean, you can tell they've got a little bit of money, and yeah, that team is probably one of the best teams I've seen, to be honest with you. Very surprised if they didn't push up and even possibly win the title for a team like that. We go to their landmarks then. Okay, they've actually won quite a bit for Newcastle. You've got Conference League winners in 2023, 2025 Europa League winners, runners-up in the Super Cup the same season, and Carabao Cup winners in 2026. So, I mean, to be fair to them, they have spent that money well, and they have run with it big time. So then, let's look at Tottenham Hotspur. Antonio Conte is going to be in charge, and this has been one of the more consistent teams in the division. They've pretty much had a good place in every single season, and definitely been, you know, the most consistent by quite a bit, to be fair to them. But this team looks honestly incredible. You're going to have your 3-4-3 or your 5, whatever you want to say it. It can be looked at two different ways. This does look more sort of like a 5 at the back. But it can also be, you know, seen as a 3, depending on how you look at things at the end of the day. It can sort of transition in the game as well. But you've got Kepa in goal, Tom Barley, Salisu, Iheanacho, Zinchenko. I'm not even going to try that because I do not want to disrespect it. Kovacic, Oliver Skip, which is quite cool to see. Sterling, Anthony, and Morata. You've got Harvey Barnes, Nunes on the bench, Sarr, Scarlett Devine, Troy Parrott as well. So they have progressed with quite a lot of their own talent, which is always a good thing to see. Morata doesn't fill me with confidence being the main man, but again, they have got some other options on the bench like Nunes to fill in if he's having a bit of a poor season. In Morata, landmarks then: Premier League champions 2022, runners up in the Conference League the same season, won the Community Shield in the same season as well, but then the next season won the FA Cup and the Community Shield, runners up in 2024 for Community Shield, and the Conference League runners up in 2026. So definitely towards the start of the save is when they had their dominance, but regardless, they still played very well throughout the whole save, and to be honest, probably were the most consistent team. And overall, I'm glad they've kept Conte because he's clearly done a good job. Moving on then, from Tottenham, we're going to go into Chelsea. Luis Enrique, the manager. Chelsea, a team that definitely did decline towards the later end of the save. We've got Horvath in goal, Richards, Sturgu, Romero, Williams, Fleming, Puchu, Calvin Phillips, Vale, Smith Rowe, Doyle, and then Andy Robertson, which is very interesting to see. And in the landmark regard, we've got a Super Cup in 2021, 2022. We've got the FIFA World Cup winners, FA Cup winners as well. So they started off very hot there. Runners up in 2022 in the Community Shield. They won the Carabao 2023 and 2 runners up awards in 2025. So, I mean, didn't manage to win the Premier League, but did find a little bit of success in English Cups. Not really any major European success, but I mean, overall, they did fall off really bad when it comes to the later end of the save, which is unfortunate because they were a team which I thought, you know, I just thought they would rebuild quite well, but unfortunately they didn't. Moving on then to Aston Villa. Lionel Scanoli is going to be in charge. That name does ring a bell. I don't like the formation. I'm going to put it out there. Not a big fan of the formation, but whatever works for you, I guess. I don't know why it sort of cuts off the goalkeeper here, but we've got Teze, Amahodzik, Struck, Sanchez, Neto, Manasvert, Chan, Diallo, Carvalho, Sebastian Haller, some decent players on the bench in Lianco, Weghorst, some decent players, Lewis Potter as well. To be honest with you, it's a very, very decent team for Aston Villa. Have they managed to win anything? They've not managed to win anything, but overall, I'm going to take my hats off because it is a reasonable rebuild. It's not a bad team to have. It's kept them in the Premier League in the last season, so I mean, to be fair, you can't really hate it. We're then going to go on to Leicester City. Brendan Rodgers still in charge. I love to see it. Tactics then. Okay, quite a good team actually. You got Muric, you got Christiansen, Victor Lindelof, Connell, Parasi, Dendonka, Winks, Ericsson, Harvey Elliott, Popsicu, and Ollie Watkins on the bench. You got Jota, Danny Ings, Christy Harrison. To be honest, it's a very, very good team. Definitely sort of a mid-table, if not, I'd say top 10 sort of team. Very good players. I mean, I imagine Harvey Elliott. Yeah, Harvey Elliott looks very good this sort of stage of the game. And landmarks. Little bit of success here or something going on here. So runners up in 2021 in the Community Shield. won the FA Cup in 2025, won the Community Shield in 2025 as well, managed to win the FA Cup in the 2026, and were runners-up. That would be really nice if they did win the Europa League. Runners-up in the Europa League. So overall, I'd say it's a very successful season, to be honest, or successful save, should I say, for them. I mean, over 5 years, I'd say it's very reasonable. Was I expecting Leicester to win the league? No. Have they rebuilt well? Yes, very good team at the end of the day. A few players in there which I wouldn't expect to go to Leicester, but I mean, you look how crazy the transfer window's been in real life. Anything can happen at the end of the day. Moving on then to Nottingham Forest. Marco Silva in charge. They have got, I mean, let's run through the team. There's a few players, most of these players I'm not too familiar with. Obviously I know who Chong is. I'm quite familiar with the likes. I've heard of this guy before. Don't want to butcher the name. Rebic on the bench as well. Have they had any sort of success landmark-wise? Nothing going for him too much. I'm not going to talk about that too much because I don't know a lot of the players, so I don't want to sit here and say, yeah, I watched this guy play 30 games last season, because I didn't. But let's move on then to what is going to be 11th place, which is Fulham. And who have they got then? So they've got Brandon Williams, Mengi, Arias, Mosquera, Rodak. That's not a bad back line. I'm going to instantly get out there. It's quite a good back line. Is that Nicolas Pepe? That's Nicolas Pepe on the bench as well. Very interesting signing. You've got Cotard, Verera, Canavenda, Motica, Wilson, and Marcos Leonardo up top. Sorry if I butchered any of them names as well. Chabala as well on the bench. Overall, it's one of them teams where it's not a great, like, it's not a world-class team, but they've got a few good players, you know, so I can see why they are still in the Premier League, and it's a very good placement as well, by the way. 11th place with that team. I mean, it is a good team, but it's not ridiculously good, so to finish 11th is a bit of a surprise. Have they managed to do anything? Sky Bet, I mean, obviously they weren't in the Premier League to start with, so the 2023 season is when they come up, and they won it outright, I think. It's completely automatic, so fair play to them. Moving on then to 12th place, which is going to be Southampton. They've got Arne Slot in charge, and the team they have got is going to be Kobel, Bogle, Craves, I don't know how you say that, sorry, Sarr, Sosa, Jordal, Lavia, you have got Fiamba, who's a very good player, Shashua, Pepe, and Origi, which is quite cool to see him back, you know, get him back at, you know, I mean, to be fair, I'm looking at this team and I'm thinking, it's arguably slightly better than Fulham's. So Fulham have done very well to get that 11th place. And on the bench, anyone that we're very familiar, Matty Longstaff, Wood, Anoma, we know him quite well as well. It's an average team. I'm going to say I've got Simiu still. It is an average team. It's nothing ridiculous. There's no real sort of world-class players. But overall, I'd say probably even with Fulham overall in terms of strength. So again, a very, very good season to finish 12th with this side. Nothing in their landmarks, so not too much to talk about regarding Southampton. Burnley, let's have a look. Company still in charge after 5 seasons. Something which, you know, I've always liked watching Burnley play, just because they always upset teams, or they used to anyway. And I like the scumminess, the long ball. Just, it was something different, you know. Tactics then. Still got the 4-4-2. They have got Gorta, Collins, Regani, one hell of a signing. Batiste, Hinsape, Okore, De Silva, Ventrina, Gordon, Badji, and Munoz. Sufal, Pedro, Hector Herrera. Overall, it's a very, very Burnley team, I'd say. A very strong back line. I believe tall midfielder in De Silva. He's not very tall. Usually Burnley have got quite tall midfielders, but the two up top, it's done a job, clearly. This centre-back partnership is absolutely brutal. A great centre-back partnership there. Nothing in the landmarks, but a very good rebuild for Burnley. That is for sure. Obviously, now I know some of these teams, by the way, some of these teams are or weren't in the Prem, so I know their contracts didn't expire. So yes, they did have a team, but still, if these teams weren't in the Premier League, they've still had to do a little bit of rebuilding, because a few of these teams were in the Premier League in previous years. So it's interesting to see the teams that have managed to rebuild and get back up to where they belong. So we're now going to go into Sheffield United. Paul Heckingbottom in charge. They've got the 4-4-2 as well. Do I recognise anyone in this really? No one's. Burge obviously stands out a little bit. A loader as well I've heard of. No real sort of standout players. There's a few I recognise, but no one. It's a bit of a small squad as well compared to the rest. Landmark, we're gonna, no disrespect to Sheffield, but there's not too much to talk about there. Obviously the team, I know a few players, but there's no real sort of standout, not even sort of one real world-class player. Peter Bosz in charge of Brentford then. A very interesting formation, quite narrow. You've got Cox, Posh, Bamdali, Sensi, Zamura, Soronia, Diatta, Moda, Loftus-Cheek, Portavona, and Omega up top. You got Trossard on the bench, who's a very, very good player. Norman, Tete. I mean, to be honest with you, that's a better team. I mean, it is and it isn't, because it's a bit of, I don't like the system. It could be the system I'm not a big fan of. There's a lot of teams which I would say are very, very similar in terms of quality. So I imagine staying in the Premier League is very difficult in this sort of save, because you got Fulham, you've got Southampton. There's a load of other teams around that area who have got very similar standard of teams. Not when I say similar, I don't mean similar players, just the standard. So I mean overall, I imagine it's very difficult to sort of stay in the division. Brentford. We're now going to go on to Swansea. They've got Wiki in charge. Then who have they got? A very, very interesting formation again. It's actually got Tom Davies at right back. Very good goalkeeper as well. Denier, great as well. Cooper. You have got Yankov. Sorrento, I've used him before. Got him as a free agent on a Leipzig save, I believe. He was very, very good. Vividi up top. You have got, who we got on the bench then? We've got Pollock. We've got, that's obviously the midfield Rafinha, not the, the new man Barcelona Rafinha. Have we got anything in landmarks? Skybet Championship champions. I must have got that wrong with Fulham. I reckon Fulham got off through playoffs possibly, but these are the champions, so they did get automatic complete promotion. So fair play to them for doing that. That in itself is a big accomplishment for Swansea to instantly come back up. So I mean, fair play to them at the end of the day. Norwich, a team which obviously we have looked at, because we always purely look at. Ten Hag is a very weird appointment, I must say. Very good appointment for him. No landmarks. They have just simply managed to maintain staying in the Premier League. And I mean, what an accomplishment that is. That is honestly incredible. I mean, I don't know why Ten Hag left, mate. Possibly he got sacked. I didn't release the managers, so that's something which I don't actually understand. But I mean, fair play. We're not going to look at these bottom three, because obviously they are now going down. So there's no real point in doing that. But that is going to be it for today, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this little rebuild. If you have, please do leave a like on the video and be sure to subscribe. It helps the channel grow. And if you do want to be notified, do click the bell as well. This way you're going to be notified when I upload, when I live stream, when I premiere a video, etc, etc. And if you guys do have any ideas as well regarding Football Manager experiments, because I bet you guys have got some crazy ideas, do comment them down below. There are a lot of stuff I'm working on a load of tactics at the moment, but I do like making these experiment videos as well. So if you are enjoying them, do leave a like, and that is going to be it for today, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.